Hey Seacoast, I'm Lisa NIEL, and I am so excited to be sharing my journey here at Seacoast with you. I would say that I was a homeless person when I got here. And thinking about the word home really touches me deeply because home for me has such a deeper meaning than just a place where you go eat and sleep and go to bed, talk to your family. Home for me, because of Seacoast, has such an incredible meaning. And so I've been here at home at Seacoast since 2009. And I'm so grateful that the Lord brought me here. I actually didn't get here on my own accord. I didn't even want to be here when I got to Seacoast. I was uprooted from where I was. I had a beautiful home, beautiful family, beautiful church, and my life seemed like it was just going wonderful. I had been married for 22 years and had a couple small children, one that was starting college. And within 24 hours, all of that was gone. My husband was gone. He took the children. The house was gone. The house was I was being evicted from the home. All of these things were such a shock to me because all of these things were happening without me being present and knowing it. And I just found myself on the floor of an empty house in tears, just broken, wondering what happened. To go from having this full, wonderful life, although I knew something needed to be addressed because it turns out that my husband at that time was living a double life. And I woke up to the reality that I was alone. I spent all of my energies and time just trying to find my family, trying to find a home again, to no avail. And my twin sister, who was living in San Diego at the time, the phone rang and I picked it up, and as soon as I heard her voice, I bursted into tears. And she said, "Lisa, what's wrong with you?" I just couldn't even talk. So she stopped everything, drove from San Diego about an hour and a half, 2 hours away to where I was, walked into that empty house, and picked me up off that floor and said, "You're coming with me." I was just so broken. I didn't want to go with her. I wanted to find my family. I wanted to have my own home. But I ended up here in San Diego, living with my sister and my brother-in-law. And they brought me to Seacoast. I didn't want to get out of the car. I didn't want to be seen. I had such shame. I had this feeling of shame and this feeling of brokenness. I just wanted to crawl in a corner and give up. I really felt hopeless. So I came into the church and I sat on the back row. I sat on the back row at Seacoast. And let me tell you, I was the only raisin in the bowl of rice, if you know what that means. I mean, I'm like the only African American there, and I just felt a little bit out of place because I was so different, and then my circumstances were so different. Everybody looked so well put together, and I just felt like, why am I here? So I sat on the back row and I kept my head down. I didn't want to make eye contact with anyone. Pastor Dale was the pastor here at that time, and every now and then he'd say something that I'd actually hear, through my tears. But there was one Sunday, I just was undone. I just kept my head buried. After the church was over, I found myself on that row, just with my head in my hands, in tears, trying not to cry out loud. I didn't even know church was over. I'm just sitting there with my head in my hands. And I feel somebody come next to me and sit down, but I don't want to look at them. My head is in my hands. I'm buried and I'm just feeling hopeless. And then this person puts their arm around me. And when they put their arm around me, I still don't look up for probably another minute. And I felt such a comfort with this person putting their arm around me. I looked over to my right, and it was a little girl, Emma Olson. And she was in the just about to go to junior high. She looked over at me and I looked at her and she smiled at me. She didn't say a word. She just smiled at me. And then she just kept her arm around me. That was the first time I had ever felt an embrace where I felt like God was in it. God was in that embrace. And then I found myself the next Sunday going, I hope I get to see Emma. And she would look for me and I would see Emma. That was a one. If I saw Emma, I was okay. It was through that relationship that God opened me up to other people to begin to share a little bit about who I was. And I look at my testimony, I look at my story now as not really a story about me, but a story about who God is and how God carries us through that storm. And I think about what Paul said, trials and tribulations, produces character, and character hope, and hope doesn't disappoint because of the love of God that he has poured in our hearts through the Holy Spirit he's given us. And that's one thing I can say about me and what God has done. He has given me such a love, such a big love for the people here, for each and every one of you. He's given me a huge heart to want to go across the waters to other nations and to touch those who need his touch. I'm just so excited to be a part of what God is doing and to be a part of this fellowship at Seacoast. What a joy, what an honor to be able to experience this and to share it with you.